Confederacy is formed out of three main parts: Piedmonts, valleys and ridges, highlands, and coastal plains. Valleys and ridges are high and steep, but with relatively flat valley bottoms. They are made of sandstone, shale, and limestone. The highlands are dominated by high mountainous plateaus. It is made of granite, shale, limestone, and quartzite. The Piedmont is a gentle, rolling landscape made of red sandstone, shale, and basalt.
Sedimentary rocks are made up of sand shells, pebbles, and other sediments. It forms from weathering and erosion, and then compacting and cementing takes place. It also forms by layers of rocks overlapping. Metamorphic rocks have ribbon-like layers which form under the earth and are produced by heat and pressure. Igneous rocks are formed when magma cools and hardens, sometimes even on the surface of a volcanic magma. Erosion affects our local or regional community by changing our landscape. It can cause buildings to collapse, splits and cracks in the land, and the destruction of land, causing earthquakes and volcanoes. These earthquakes and volcanoes are known as natural disasters because they kill so many and ruin for so many more.
There are mainly three different types of volcanoes that are based generally off their eruption pattern: shield volcanoes, cinder cone volcanoes, and composite volcanoes. In Washington state, approximately 85 miles northeast of Portland, Oregon, sits Mount St. Helens. Known as a stratovolcano, it is considered a cone volcano and is the most deadly of types. It is well active and located in the Cascade Range that, compared to the rest of the range, is very young. Mount St. Helens was formed by the buildup of lava and ash from every explosion. Every time it erupted, it formed a new layer. This volcano is well known for its 1980 explosion, but even before that had about a 40,000-year history of explosions, but hasn't been active since July 10, 2008. On May 18, 1980, a violent eruption occurred that knocked out a side of the volcano, destroyed 230 miles of forest, and was even heard in other countries. It began only 4 days earlier when small earthquakes occurred that eventually led to a crater blasting through the ice cap of Mount St. Helens. Because of its tephra deposits, Mount St. Helens is recognized as its own strata.
The mountain range I picked was the Appalachian Mountains. They are beautiful mountains that run from Newfoundland, Canada to Alabama. About 400 million years ago, the North American plate collided with the African plate, creating the Appalachian Mountains. The Appalachian Mountains cover over 1,500 miles and are often very wide. A lot of the mountain range is forested with thick trees, and currently the highest peak is Mount Mitchell in North Carolina and lies at 6,684 feet in elevation. The Appalachian Mountains were formed out of convergent plates and started forming somewhere around 400 million years ago. The plates moved convergently and caused a mountain to be formed with the oldest pieces of rock at the top. Some of the fossils found there are clam, shrimp, trilobites, and ferns. The mountain is mostly made out of crystalline rock and sediment rock. The mountain ranges allow animals to live there, such as black bears, chipmunks, reptiles, and more. The mountains are a huge tourist attraction, which helps the economy. The weather is affected because the mountains can allow or not allow the weather to pass. Erosion affects the Appalachian Mountains by creating new lakes and landforms. For example, the northern Appalachians are greatly affected by glacial forces, and other parts of the mountain are eroded by water. You can view the Appalachian Mountains from an abundance of parks and viewing spots on the road. The Appalachian Mountains are home to amazing wildlife that thrives in such an animal-friendly area. I think that it's interesting how in a million years, the mountains probably won't look the same as they do today.
Mauna Loa is the largest shield volcano, standing 13,677 feet above sea level, which means it rises 28,000 feet above the ocean floor. Shield volcanoes are tall and broad with a flat round shape. Hawaiian volcanoes exemplify the common type of shield volcanoes. They are built by a massive outpouring of lava that covers a great amount of land. Over time, the deposits of lava increase the level of the ocean floor until a seamount is formed. As lava built up for hundreds of thousands of years, it eventually cooled and hardened, broke the surface of the ocean, and formed an island. In June 1950, the village of Hoki-Nauka was also destroyed in a similar fashion. Eruptions in 1975 and 1984 were significant, although they caused far less damage than past events. In 1926, the village of Hoki-Maji was destroyed when the largest eruption from Mauna Loa occurred. In 2002, seismic inflation increased along the walls of Mauna Loa, half below the surface, which means the volcano went through several earthquakes. For the first 3 weeks, an earthquake was reported daily, and the number increased steadily until December 2004 when they ended. Mauna Loa means long mountain. It was originally formed deep under the Pacific Ocean by hot magma deep below the Earth's surface. An 80-million-year-old, 3,600-mile-wide volcano hotspot exists below the Hawaiian chain of volcanoes, and Mauna Loa is one of the 5 Hawaiian volcanoes fed by this hotspot.
Earthquake fault types. Where the crust is being pulled apart, the overlying block moves down with the lower block. This is called a normal faulting. Where the crust is compressed, the hanging wall block moves up and over the footwall block, and a reverse faulting occurs. Crustal blocks may also move sideways past each other. This is known as a sinistral strike slip. Measuring and locating earthquakes. Earthquakes are recorded by a seismic network. Each seismic station in the network measures the movement of the ground at that site. In an earthquake, the slip of a block of rock over another releases energy that makes a ground vibrate. The vibration pushes the adjoining piece of ground, causing it to vibrate, and thus the energy travels out from the earthquake in a wave. As the wave passes by a seismic station, the piece of ground vibrates, and this vibration is recorded. Earthquakes produce two waves travel through the earth. Seismologists can calculate the time when the earthquake occurred and its location by comparing the times when shaking was recorded at several stations. Convection currents. The mantle is made of a much denser, thicker material. Because of this, the plate floats on it like oil floats on water. Many geologists believe that the mantle flows because of the convection currents. Convection currents are caused by the very hot material at the deepest part of the mantle rising, then cooling, sinking again, and then heating, rising, and repeating the cycle over and over. When the convection currents flow in the mantle, they also move the crust. A conveyor belt in a factory moves boxes, like the convection currents in the mantle moves the plates. Convection currents are vertical movements of fluid driven by heat. Hot fluids rise because they are less dense than the cold fluids which sink. Convection currents in the hot, solid rock of the Earth's mantle help to drive the movement of the rigid plates making up the Earth's surface. Effects of an earthquake. Structural damage and fire. Surface trembling from seismic waves often damages buildings. Mass wasting events. Ground motion may trigger landslides and other rapid mass wasting events that result in loss of life and damage to buildings. Seismic sea waves. If the seafloor suddenly shifts upward or downward, the sudden displacement of water results in seismic sea waves or tsunamis. Earthquake and volcanic activity. Earthquakes related to volcanic activity may produce hazards which include ground cracks, ground deformation, and damage to man-made structures. There are two general categories of earthquakes that occur at volcanoes: volcanic tectonic earthquakes and long-period earthquakes. Earthquakes produced by stress changes in solid rock due to the injection or withdrawal of magma, molten rock, are called volcanic tectonic earthquakes. The second category of volcanic earthquakes is a long period of earthquakes which are produced by the injection of magma into surrounding rock. The earthquake in Haiti. On January 12, 2010, Haiti was hit by the most powerful earthquake to strike the country in 200 years. More than 220,000 people were killed, 300,000 injured, and more than 1 million made homeless. A study by the Inter-American Development Bank estimated that the total cost of the disaster was between $8 billion and $14 billion. The Haiti earthquake was caused by the release of seismic stresses that had built up around two tectonic plates. The motions of these plates create what are known as strike-slip faults, where two sections of Earth's crust are grinding past each other in opposite directions. The Caribbean plate is moving eastward with respect to the North American plate. When the stresses along these fault lines reach a certain point, they can be released in bursts of energy that cause earthquakes. Although it is unclear when the energy will be discharged as series of small quakes or as one big tremor. Since Haiti is very close to the boundary where the Caribbean and North American plates meet, fault lines linked to the plates' movements run right through the country.